Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for making time to be here with us tonight. My name is Meg. I'm the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania League of Women Voters. And I would love to just start out with a quick round of intros. We have a very packed agenda, but I would love to, I'll just call on everyone. And if you could just say your name, the league that you're from, and what your role is in that league. So if you run communications or you do anything specifically for your board, if you could just let me know. So Sam Anthony, I'll start with you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm Sam Anthony. I am a member at large and I am a staff member of the State League. I'm a membership and operations associate.
Thank you, Sam. Ray? Oh, you're muted, Ray.
My name is Ray Newbaum, and I'm a member of the Harrisburg Area League, and I also work in the state office. I'm the office administrator, so I manage donations and bill payments and things like that.
Thanks, Ray. Terry?
Hey, I'm Terry Purdy from the Lehigh County League. I'm the webmaster and in charge of special projects.
Awesome. Barbara O'Donnell?
Hi, everybody. I am with the League of Women Voters of Bucks County, and I am co-treasurer.
Excellent. Kathy Cook?
Hi, I'm Kathy Cook, MAL, and I'm the Environmental Policy Director.
Joanne Kerr?
Hi, I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Westmoreland County and Director of Membership.
Welcome, Joanne. We're so glad to have a rep from Westmoreland here. If everyone doesn't know, Westmoreland is our newest MAL unit, and I see Becky's here too from Westmoreland.
Yes.
Great. Becky, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Becky Wise, and very happy to be on this call. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Westmoreland County, MAL.
Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Youngman. I'm Vice President of the Central Delaware County League, and I'm Communications Chair.
Excellent. Jamie?
Hi, everybody. Jamie Mogul. So good to see some of you and some of you new. Welcome. I am president of the League of Women Voters of Lower Merion and Narberth, which for those across the state that may not know, it's outside of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Sherry Diamond?
Yes, hello, good evening. I live in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. I'm a member and a board member of the League of Women's Voters in our area. It's Cheltenham, Abington, Upper Dublin, and Jenkintown, little areas around townships where I live.
Great to have you here. Eva? You're muted, Eva. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Sorry about that. I'm Zoom to Zoom, back to back all day. But anyway, I'm in Lower Merion League of Women Voters, and I've been on the steering committee for many, many years.
Excellent. We're so glad to have you. Julie?
Hi, I'm Julie Becker. I'm from League of Women Voters of Bucks County. I'm a co-treasurer on the communications committee and currently running the hosting the Instagram account for our league.
Great. That's you behind the scenes. That's awesome, Julie. Bridget Mulcahy, if you're here.
Hi. Hold on. Whoop. Sorry.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Bridget Mulcahy. I am the co-director of communications of Bucks County.
Excellent. Connie?
Hi, I'm Connie Borashevsky. I'm also from the Bucks County League. I'm co-director of voter services.
Great. Lots of Bucks Co people here. Love it. Linda Morrison, if you're there.
I'm Linda Morrison. I'm the president of the Lawrence County League of Women Voters. We're about 50 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Great, Linda. Thanks for joining us. Pam?
I'm Pam Huffnagel from the Clarion County League of Women Voters,
Clarion County is a rural county in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm the president of our local league.
Great to have you here, Pam. Michelle?
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm from the Lehigh County League, and I handle the voters guide and our Instagram account.
Great. Nikki?
Hi, my name is Nikki. I am with the Bucks County League, and I work with them on the communications team on Twitter.
You're also a fellow for the State League, don't forget.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
You wear many hats.
For the next 3 months, I am a fellow with the Meg's team. Yep.
Awesome. Amy Clesis.
Hi, I'm with the League of Women Voters of Greater Pittsburgh, and just thought I might learn something today.
Excellent. We're glad to have you. Last but not least, Erica.
Hi, sorry, I'm actually driving while I'm here today, so I'm going to be mostly just listening in. But I'm with the League of Abington, Jenkintown, Cheltenham. I handle Instagram. I assist with the Facebook. That's pretty much all we're doing right now as far as social media.
Great, Erica. Thanks for joining us. All right, everyone. Well, let's get rolling. Sam, would you mind sharing the PowerPoint? So welcome to the second of our local league capacity building workshop series. We are doing one of these a month, and this month's workshop is focused on communications and social media one-on-one. As you all know, we sent out a tech survey to sort of get a handle on ways local leagues are using technology, using social, and the results were fairly mixed. So we have found that there's sort of a range of leagues using multiple different tools, a range of knowledge on how to use them. So for some of you, some of this information might seem pretty obvious or straightforward. For some of you, it might be brand new. So I encourage you to take what's useful, to ask questions using the raise hand feature, and we'll definitely have time for discussion at the end. Another reminder is that the wonderful Sam Anthony, our operations and membership associate, holds tech office hours every Thursday between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So if you have a desire to dive deeper into some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, please feel free to reach out to her. Next slide. So what makes effective communications as a local leagues? In our opinion at the state level, a strong virtual presence on behalf of your league is composed of three things. The first being an attractive and informative website, the second being the emails that you send, and the third being your use of social media. So we are going to save a conversation about websites until next month's webinar. And you can save the date. That's going to be March 8th. We're going to break down different platforms that you're able to use and some best practices for building a website if you don't have one, or if you want one, if you have one but you want to improve it. So today's conversation is really going to focus on emails and social media. Next slide. So some best practices for email. I wanted to just start this off with a little bit of Q&A. Does anyone know how long the average person takes to read an email? Just throw it in the chat or speak up. Average time someone's reading an email. Any guesses? On the length, few seconds. Yeah. So 1 minute, right? 30 seconds. Okay. The answer is 12 seconds. So, you know, the average marketing email, a consumer will spend 12 seconds reading it.
Would be the one that's in the dishwasher.
So I'm just going to unmute Linda here. So that's kind of the thing to know about email going into it, is that people are not spending a lot of time reading your emails. So a couple of best practices to think about when sending emails on behalf of your league. The first is to know your audience. So your audience will be your members, and a second audience you'll have will be non-members. So people that are externally facing, not as familiar with the league, not as familiar with the jargon that we use and our processes. So it's important to think about who you're sending emails to when you talk on behalf of your league. The second thing we really recommend when thinking about sending emails on behalf of your league is to use a professional email platform. We're going to break down on the next slide a couple of options for your league to use that are either free or low cost. So using a professional email platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact will allow you to do a lot of things, including keeping a better track of your membership list, allow you to look at things like open rates, allow you to figure out the best time of day to send emails. So there's a lot of great tools and resources that you can use with that data. The next best practice for email that I want to talk about is using simple and engaging language. I receive a lot of local league emails because you folks are very generous to add me to your subscription lists. And what I often find is that emails are very long, very clunky, and don't really get right to the point. So think about that when you're sending emails. If you're talking about an event that's coming up, maybe you don't need a 5-paragraph email to describe the event. Maybe you just need 1 or 2 catchy sentences and a link to register. The next thing I'd love to point out as a best practice is to include photos and graphics to really make your email pop. Think about the subject line of your email. Sending something that's really engaging and snappy will have people want to open your email more than a more generic subject line. Give readers a next step. So if you really want someone to donate to your league, to sign up for an event, you have to include links or the process to go from there. So think really tangibly about, what do I want my readers to do as a result of viewing this email? And the last thing is to dig into the readership data. So if you do end up using a platform like MailChimp or Constant Contact, you can go into them and say, okay, what kind of content are we sending where we're seeing people unsubscribe? What's the best time of day to be sending emails? What can we learn from the numbers that are coming in? So if you go to the next slide, Sam, this is a sample email from the state league that I wanted to share with you all. I apologize that it's not, it's a little bit grainy. I had to take some screenshots. But this is an email that we sent out sharing our impact report for 2021. So some things that I wanted to point out, this email went to both members and non-members. So I wanted to read it as though I was a person who had never heard of the league before. So use really simple, clear, concise language. I included a graphic. So this is a screenshot of the impact report that we actually sent. The third is that it had a catchy subject line sharing our impact in 2021. And from this email, I wanted people to do 2 things. The first, to click the impact report, and the second, to possibly donate to show support. So as you can see, the option to click and read the report was hyperlinked multiple times, and the donate button was bold and red. And even if you don't build an actual button, you can really enhance the wording around donate to make it stick out in your emails. Any questions about that so far? Great. I'm getting some feedback that people can't hear me as well. Is it better now? Okay, great. So next slide. So this, back one more slide, Sam. Great. So we have included a couple of options for email platforms that you might potentially be interested in using. I'm not going to go too much into these nitty-gritty of this. You will all receive a copy of this presentation, so you can certainly reference it on your own time. But as you can see, we've included a couple of options that are, as I said, either free or low cost. MailChimp, Constant Contact, those are kind of the basic ones. The league at the state level previously used Constant Contact. It's great. It's based on how many contacts you have for how much you pay. Action Network is a little more advanced. That's the platform that the league at the state level currently uses, and it's also what's used by FDPA. So there's a lot of reporting functions, and it also allows you to track gifts and donations. So I wanted to throw that on there. And again, if you're interested in exploring any of these options more, Sam, Anthony, and I would be happy to help. Next slide. So social media, the hot topic. So there's so many benefits to using social media as a local league. You all know that because most leagues have at least one social media platform. But just the basics of why it's really beneficial for you to be using these platforms. The first is to expand your reach and to share more about the work of the league. Social media engages your existing members. So if, for example, you're promoting an event that you already sent an email about, a member might actually see it on social media before they see it in an email. This can also help grow awareness of all the great things you're doing and allow you to attract new members, volunteers, donors, or attendees for your events. It helps you engage in conversation and promote activism. So if you are pushing people in your social media network to take action on a certain bad bill, for example, other partner coalition organizations could see the work that you're doing and could be incentivized to reshare the work that you're doing. So there's a lot of different platform options for social media, and I'm going to go through all the major ones after. But as a first step, the advice I'd offer you all is to decide what platforms are manageable for your league, what you have the volunteer capacity to support, and just be committed to growing your audience over time, even if it takes a little bit of time. So next slide. So Facebook. Facebook is the most widely used social media platform around the world. It's used by people of all ages. Notably, the smallest usage per group is teenagers. So you're not necessarily going to find teenagers on Facebook. That's not to say there are no teenagers on Facebook, but they're using it at slower levels. Facebook is a great platform to create events. They have fundraising capacity. You can share images and videos and text. A great feature of Facebook that we've recently been taking advantage of is live streaming from Zoom. So if you have a live stream Zoom, you can actually cross-post it on your Facebook page so that people can view it from your Facebook page, even if they haven't signed up for the event. So I have an example here on the right of the event we did last week with Chris Ullery. So we had people in the Zoom room, and we also had the event being shared on Facebook simultaneously. Next slide. So Twitter is really fun. Character limits are what make Twitter unique. So there's a certain character limit that you're allowed to use. So updates are going to be quick. Discussions and interactions will be briefer. Twitter is an excellent tool for advocacy and activism. And I strongly recommend that you check out the State League's Twitter to see how we use it, reshare things that we already post, and most importantly, use the pin feature of Twitter to pin your most important or timely tweet at the top of your page. So this is the current tweet that's pinned on the league's page. This is the link to subscribe to our emails. So when you hit our Twitter page, this is the first thing that you're going to see. Next slide. Instagram. So another one that's used by younger folks. That's not to say that older folks don't use it, but it's a very visual platform. So it started off as being a platform that people use to share photos. And now it's used by companies, nonprofits, to not only share photos, but to share graphics and videos. The difference that I get a lot of questions about regularly is the difference between a post and a story. So here in the feed where you can see the square posts at the bottom. Thank you, Sam. So those last forever. Up on the story, which these little circle icons, those disappear over time. So it's kind of fun to use both to play with what your users respond to. Next. LinkedIn. So I'm sure you're all familiar with LinkedIn, but if you're not, it's designed for professional networking. So people use it to look for jobs. So as a nonprofit, you can certainly use LinkedIn to find talent. So if you're looking for interns, for example, when you're hiring, it's also really good for establishing your professional credibility in the business community. So it actually might be helpful in building partnerships with businesses in your area if you're on LinkedIn. I linked to our LinkedIn page at the state level, and I shared here the posts that we made when we were hiring for fellows in January of this year. Next slide. Last but not least, TikTok. So this is the newest social media platform on the block. It's a video-based platform that's really popular with teenagers. So if you've never seen it, users can share up to 1 minute video clips of themselves. The videos are usually set to music. A cool thing about TikTok is that things tend to become really trendy. So you can do challenges, you can support nonprofits by raising awareness of different causes. You can raise money on it. It's very fun. It's also very time intensive. So the National League has a wonderful TikTok that I definitely recommend everyone checking out. The State League does not currently have one because it is very time intensive to create videos. But in the future, I do hope to have a fellow or an intern who kind of works on creating TikTok content for us. Any questions about those platforms? I know it's kind of whirlwind overview. Connie, go ahead.
Is there a cost involved with these, with setting up an account for a person? I know you're talking about leagues process, but if a person wants to sign up to one of these, does it cost money?
No, they're all free. Okay. Yep. The only a cost that I can potentially think of is LinkedIn does have a paid option where you get access to more of the features of the platform, but on behalf of the league, only use the free version. On behalf of myself, I only use the free version. Yeah.
The other thing to look out for though is when you're on Facebook and I believe Instagram now too, is when you are posting and stuff like that, sometimes it'll have pop-ups telling you to boost posts and buy ads. You don't have to do any of that in order to post, but it's still going to be annoyingly there all the time, every time you try to do something.
Yes,
just to say that. So do watch out for that.
That's a great point, Erica. Yes. So currently Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you have the option to pay for ads to essentially boost your posts so that more people see it, which is great if you have money to burn, but a lot of us don't necessarily have that option. So yes, that's a good thing to look out for. Thanks, Erica. All right, next slide. Thanks, Sam. So something I want to kind of dive a little bit into is nonpartisanship on social media. So as you all know, nonpartisanship is a core principle of the league, and it's really important for league leaders to exemplify that value in the public arena, including on their personal social media accounts. So feel free to use this guidance to help think about how you use social media when you interact on behalf of the league online. So the first thing to think about your personal social media accounts, so not your league accounts, is that everything is really visible. Nothing is really hidden on the internet. So assume everyone can see everything you can post. So even if you have a personal account that's separate from your league account, remember that when you're speaking online, you really are a representative of the league, and that your profile can be traced back to you and be traced back to the league. So we recommend including your league title and your preferred pronouns in your social media bio, and just be mindful that you're treating this as a very professional account. And it's important to maintain a professional, oh, sorry, I'm like reading my notes and I'm getting myself confused. So a great thing to think about when using your personal social media account is adding a disclaimer. So adding, views represented on this account do not reflect the views of the League of Women Voters. And what I always think about when using my personal account is if I'm unsure, I would say, okay, would I really want, for example, a local league president from Bucks County seeing me post this? Or would I want the national league to see me posting this? And that's kind of the lens with which I view any personal posts. Next slide. So posting on behalf of your league, it's really important to remember that nonpartisan does not mean apolitical. As league members, we have to engage in the political arena. We had a really great conversation about this with a representative from National at our state convention this year. And one thing that she emphasized, and one thing that I'll emphasize here, is that when you're using social media, there's a huge difference between endorsing a candidate, giving money to a candidate, saying that this candidate is the best for the job, versus saying we support this candidate's policy positions because it's in line with ours. So, in order to affect change on the issues that we care about, we have to be talking about climate change, fair school funding, voting rights, reproductive justice. We have to be talking about these issues on social media. But, and just remembering that, being nonpartisan doesn't mean that we just sit on our haunches and refuse to weigh in because things have become politically charged. So as we kind of carefully navigate this conversation, I've added some guidelines from National here, which I think we should talk through now. So when posting as your league, it's definitely okay to share content from a politician when their social posts align with our advocacy. So if, for example, a lawmaker says, I just voted on a bill that would support the regional greenhouse gas initiative, that is a position that the league supports. So we could reshare that content. That's not an issue. We can also tag and call on politicians to take action that aligns with our advocacy. So you probably saw the National League repeatedly calling on President Biden last month to support voting rights legislation. They tagged him. They called him out on social. That is definitely okay to do. What it's not okay to do is to really engage with politicians directly. So say a lawmaker gets on Twitter and says, I am pro-life, I don't support the position of the League of Women Voters. Responding to that politician directly can only lead to poor outcomes. So remember to sort of rise above, not engage. It's only going to attract attention to the post, and it's only going to, it's not going to end positively, is what I'll say. The second thing not to do is call out a party as good or bad. So when we endorse positions, we don't say, the Democratic Party is on the right side of this, or the Republican Party is on the wrong side of this. We never want to say that an entire party's positions is good or bad. That is the antithesis of being nonpartisan. We also don't want to promote or advocate for how people should vote on candidates. So making a post on behalf of your league saying this candidate is the best for the job is definitely not a good idea. We don't also want to retweet or share a political party's post. So we wouldn't want to reshare, the Pennsylvania Congressional Republicans posts on your local league's page. These days, so many political parties and other organizations have social media accounts. So it's just important to really think about content that you reshare and engage with. Give it a critical eye before you reshare it to your page. Any questions about that? Kathy, go ahead. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I just had it on mute and stuff. Sometimes when politicians post things, I like them. I like the post. That's okay to do, right? And I have seen some people call out, if a politician states a policy or a viewpoint, I'll respond to it sometimes too. Is that?
Can you give an example of that, Kathy?
I'm just trying to think. Well, there was a lot of stuff in the state about a lot of posts today about the budget, the state budget. And if one of my representatives posted something I might, like it or say, yes, we should give more money to education, something like that. Is that, how would you feel about that?
I would just say tread lightly. So I do think that engaging directly with the content will put more eyes on it. That's just how kind of the social media algorithm works. And candidates or politicians could sort of use that engagement positively or negatively. And it really is a reflection of the whole league. So if, for example, a politician really doesn't like the way that you are responding to his comments about budget, he could, argue back. He could pin that to his profile. He could say, the league doesn't support me, and it could just become a whole thing that was blown out of proportion. So I would just say, I think that this issue is not always cut and dry, but always kind of think before you post. If it's, something that you would want our eye on at the state level, I'm happy to do that. But in general, engaging directly or getting into too detailed policy conversations on social media is just not a good idea.
Also, how about tagging the state? I do that when I have events and things like that. Is that you guys?
Oh, yes, of course. Please do tag us. That's something that I'm going to get to at the end. But,
okay.
We post a ton across all platforms, and we also love to reshare what you're doing. So as much as we're resharing what you're doing, we'd also love for you to reshare some of the content that we're putting out, because we're doing a lot of the work for you in some ways. So if, for example, we're putting together a petition to support a bill, you sharing that with your members kind of takes the work out of it already. We've already wrote the post. We've already given you an action to take. So we really encourage that. Jamie, your hand's up.
Yeah. Thanks. Or how do I lower it? I don't know. Lower hand. Okay.
You got it.
Question for you, because I have people that help us, and I have to say though, I'm not saying I'm just following what you're saying here, but for instance, I think the state league and certainly fair districts, tags and responds to, if you just take a cursory look, whether it's Benninghoff, and his map, or calling out certain people, like Representative Grove, or, I would say it isn't about aligning with our advocacy. It's quite the opposite. Oh, Kevin. So I guess, I'm not saying I disagree with that, but I'm just wondering, where is the line there? Because I actually think it's especially as they are in leadership, a lot of, I would say from both sides, right? Yeah, so I guess where is the line on that?
Sorry, my camera turned off.
That's okay.
So I don't think there's a clear line, and that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I don't think it's a cut and dry situation, and I really do think that leagues should take things post by post, instance by instance. I don't post on behalf of fair districts, and I don't run their own social media accounts.
I think we lost you, or did I lose you all?
No, I think there she is.
I'm back. Sorry. So did you hear what I just said? Sorry.
No, I heard you don't post for fair districts. I didn't think you did, but what I'm saying is obviously fair districts has a very big presence, and I think they have great social media. So I'm not saying I disagree with it, actually quite the opposite, but they are a project of the league. So I guess, it's also the state and national, I see it not when it's aligning with our advocacy. I think sometimes it's the opposite. For instance, I know for us, we posted Representative Grove was really touting, he posted an article about redistricting reform and that Democrats gerrymander. And yeah, we responded to it to say, yeah, we agree gerrymandering's a bad thing. And that's why it shouldn't happen here in Pennsylvania either, and that we're going to continue to advocate for a true citizens, independent citizens commission.
So again, like, I just don't think the answer is cut and dry.
Okay.
As what this is, advice, this is guidance from national that I'm resharing. It's not that so I run the state's social media. So it's not that I never tag politicians, never call out things that are happening. My point here is just to not engage as much in the vitriolic parts of social media and to really get into discussions and nitpicking nitty-gritty things on social media, because they can really just blow up. I've seen that happen.
To add to that, I think the line to find is, it's, when you're tagging or interacting or calling out social or politicians on your social media, regardless of whether or not it's because they align with a policy or they don't align with the policy, the point is that you're calling out in relation to the policy. You're not calling them out as a person. You're not calling them out because they're part of a party, I think. And so, Jamie, like, to your point, it's if there's a politician that's, it doesn't necessarily always cut and dry have to align with the policy, but keep it focused more on the policy as opposed to, like Meg said, getting into the personal attacks. Not that any of us would do that, but just that sort of idea, as opposed to like align or not align with the advocacy.
For sure. And I've linked to even further in-depth blog posts from national about this. Like, it's something that we're going to be constantly revisiting and reevaluating as an organization, just because we are deeply embedded in these hot button issues, and we do have a responsibility to be calling out or lifting up what's being done and who by the leaders on this issue. So your points are all well taken, Jamie. I want to move on because it's already 6:07. We have more to cover. If we go to the next slide, Sam. Thank you. So the one other thing I'd like to just say is that election season on social media changes a lot of this conversation. So during election season, many of the politicians that we engage with, work with, become candidates. So it's really important to think about refraining from retweeting or sharing candidate posts once someone has been declared a candidate for office. So by doing that, we can provide a platform for candidates that could be seen as uneven. So if we're constantly sharing a certain, Dem candidate's policies, but not sharing his Republican opponent's policies, that can be, very uneven. So it's definitely still okay to tag candidates in your social media posts to pressure to fill them out your voter guide, for example, but just tread very, very carefully during election season. Next slide. So here's some nonpartisan social media examples. So as you can see, the National League retweeted when President Biden was talking about the We the People Act and the For the People Act. So they retweeted his tweet because that tweet aligned with our advocacy. You can see also on the next one, the National League tagged Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Capito to ask them to voice their support for the For the People Act. So another great example. And then the third tweet says, from Arizona to Georgia, voters turned out in record numbers to choose their lawmakers. Now lawmakers are trying to choose who votes. So it's, again, a call for the People Act without necessarily calling out a specific party. Next, Sam. So a great tool that I'd love to talk a little bit about when thinking about social media for your league and really enhancing it, and also enhancing your email marketing, is the use of Canva, which is a free online design and publishing tool that you can use to create graphics. So this is a Canva post that we made recently. It's beautiful. We're going to put it on social media. It's just, it looks super professional. And this was not at all, something that had to be made by a graphic designer. This is something that we made in 5 minutes in Canva. Canva has a free version that I highly recommend everyone access. There's also a paid version that starts at $9.99 a month, but you can do almost every major function in Canva using the free version. Next. So images, talking about images, it's really important when you're posting on social to think about where the photos came from. It's important to not just download a picture you find on Google and repost it, because that could be subject to a copyright infringement. So definitely try to use your own photos when possible, photos that you take at your league events, because those are property of your league. If you do end up using Canva, Canva has a really huge free stock photo library that you can use. And the National League has this beautiful Flickr library that has free photos for use to all league members. So this picture is taken from the league Flickr, and it's something that could definitely be used by all leagues. You know, it's Vote for OLM content to young women in Washington, DC. Great picture. So there's excellent resources there. Next, Sam. So brand standards. So the league logo and color scheme and font are all part of what's called the league brand, which is the visual system that's designed to be really dynamic and recognizable by the public. So as a local league, you have your own logo that's been made for you by the National League that you should be using on all of your materials. You should also be using the same color scheme and the same font as part of the National League brands. And this helps us maintain consistency across the country, really. So the fonts, the colors, and logos can also be found on the league management page, which I've linked here. And just a reminder that social media graphics should always include the league logo. So a lot of times if you're making a graphic for an event, for example, just make sure you have the league logo somewhere in the post. And here you can see the most recent version of the league logo. The ones below are retired. So if you have any materials on social or in any of your marketing that still have that old logo, make sure you update those to the most recent. Next slide. So the last thing, second to last thing we'll touch on is just accessibility on social media. So it's really important to remember that not everyone uses social media and even computers in the same way. And there's some really basic steps that your league can take to make sure that your content that you're posting, it can be viewed and accessible by everyone. There's a wealth of knowledge in this area that's posted on our website, courtesy of the Equity Initiative, and specifically our partners at Disability Pride Pennsylvania. So the three basic things to think about is using basic language and limited emojis. If you use too many emojis, people that use screen readers are not going to be able to see what the content actually is. Include visual descriptions or alternative text underneath your images. So if someone is blind and can't necessarily see the image, their computer reader will be able to read a description of what the image is. And always provide captioning for video content that you share. So there's some, and none of this has to be a cost. A lot of the tips that I'm sharing are linked on our website, and they're totally free to implement, not that hard to implement, and will ensure that the most people can see the content that you're posting. Next slide. So last but not least, before we kind of close with the discussion, is basic security for social media. So I don't mean to be an alarmist, but any organization right now in the current political climate that's affiliated with democracy or voting can be the subject of targeting by bad actors. I mean, we all know about the Russian interference in the election and the way that they use social media and pages that were not well protected to spread misinformation. So there's a couple of really simple things that you can do right now to make sure that your platforms are protected. The first being, definitely use different passwords for each platform. So don't have the same password across all of your social media channels. Choose very long passwords with multiple character types. that are not easy to guess. Change your passwords regularly, and definitely remove anyone that's a page administrator on your pages if they're no longer affiliated with your league. So if an old intern, used to run your Facebook and she no longer is with your league, make sure you remove her as an administrator so she can no longer get in and update the content. And lastly, enable two-factor authentication. So you might be familiar with this if you've logged into, say, a bank account recently. So I highly encourage you to register a phone number or an email address that will receive a notification if there's a new sign into your platform, just for that extra layer of security. So if you get an email saying there's been a login to your Twitter from Tampa and no one in your league lives in Tampa, you want to check that out. So that's a great feature of two-factor authentication. Next slide. So these are some great resources that I'm going to be sharing around. The first resource that I'll just remind you all to take advantage of is us, the State League. We post tons of content. We would love you to be resharing and promoting that content, taking advantage of all the hours and time that we put into our communication strategy, because it really benefits your local league as well. I included a link to the accessibility standards that we talked about, more about nonpartisanship, a great social media toolkits from National, more about using images online, more about the brand standards, and then just some general talking point templates for talking about league work on social media. Next. Save the date. The next capacity building workshop will be about websites specifically, and it will be March 8th, which is a Tuesday, 1 month from today. And I would love to just close with discussion. Sam, you can stop sharing. So I would love to hear what resonated with you about this, if anything, what was helpful, maybe something you hadn't thought about before, and if there's any questions. I'll just open up the floor. Kathy, go ahead.
I have a question about the logo. I
Mhm.
noticed when you took a screenshot of a social media post and underneath the league logo was the rainbow. I thought I read that we weren't supposed to mess with the background. Did I misinterpret that?
The rainbow.
There was a instead of the color background that the logo.
It was an LGBT
Yeah.
rainbow behind the logo.
On one of the slides that you shared.
Let me pull it back up.
Yeah, that looked non-kosher given the rules and the standards.
I am looking at all of the posts and I'm not seeing a rainbow.
It was a screenshot that you took and included in a slide.
It was the National League's Twitter logo.
Twitter logo.
So the national, that rainbow thing that you saw was like if you think of it as like the profile picture you have on your social media accounts, that was National's sort of quote unquote profile picture. It was rainbow probably because they had made it rainbow for maybe Pride Month, but that's not the same as the league logo itself. You can't make the league logo rainbow, sadly, as much as we might like to.
Okay, so we could change our, we could change our social media picture profile to something that's not kosher, but.
Definitely. I mean, if you want to theme it, if you want to think about Women's History Month coming up, Black History Month, Pride, those are great things to play with online. Yeah, for sure. Ray wants to see the rainbow slide. I still don't know. Sam, you can share it. Any other questions, thoughts? Becky,
So
go
I
ahead.
I have a question. I know you recorded this. Where are these posted that we can share these? Because these workshops are very helpful, but.
Thanks. We don't have them posted on our website right now, but what I'm going to do is create a box folder that's open access that everyone can view them on, and I'll send that link around.
Okay, and would that have like the previous month?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome.
Definitely.
There
Oh,
it
I
is.
see, I see.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that was definitely for Pride. Mhm. Great. Bridget, you raised your hand.
Yes, sorry, had to unmute. Yeah, I was just wondering if you have suggestions or if any local leagues have suggestions as to how to kind of raise the audience on especially Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, because I think, the same people are seeing the same thing and, obviously we want to expand our reach. And if anybody had any success in this area.
It's the magical question, right? Like, what's the solution to growing our following? There's a lot I can share about this, and then I'm happy to have anyone else pitch in, but there's
people. Tag
yeah,
people.
tag people, tag affiliate organizations, invite partners to collaborate with you on shared Facebook events to reach their audience. It also comes down to the content that you post. So making sure the content is engaging and visual, using hashtags is really helpful to doing that. But really, apart from literally buying followers, which you can do, it really has to happen over time, and it has to happen organically. But I'd say as much tagging of other organizations, as much hashtagging as you can do, the more visibility that you'll see. A good solution also to improving the algorithm is to engaging with followers that are engaging with your posts. So for example, you post that you're having an event coming up and 3 people comment on it. By you responding directly to that person saying, oh, I'm so glad you'll be there, here's the link to register, that drives up the engagement over time and pushes the platform to continue to show it to other people. And we talked about paid advertising a little bit, Bridget, and that's obviously something that is, something that to play with if you have the luxury of a little extra money, but Facebook ads are not expensive. Promoting, for example, throwing, say, $50 behind a post about Vote 411 can really help reach a lot of people. And you can target it based on your area and age and interest on Facebook. So there's a whole world of paid social media advertising that I didn't want to get into, but that is an option if it's something your league can think about budgeting for down the road. Anyone else have anything to offer growing your following? Has anyone had any successes? Is there anyone from the Pittsburgh League on this? No, there's not anyone from the Pittsburgh League on this call. Outreach Circle, Sam Anthony, that's you.
Yeah, Jamie at this point probably knows more about Outreach Circle than I do. So Outreach Circle is another platform that you can use. It is free or very low cost for the basic version, but it is sort of specifically a way to engage people, followers, members to take action around, different things. So you can create, actions like a petition or a letter campaign or anything of that ilk around an area or an issue you're interested in. And then it's kind of its own little separate app, and you kind of shoot it out onto the app, or you can put it on social media so that people will click on it and it'll take them to this little thing where they can take the action. It's a great way. It's a great way to like easily tell people how they can advocate and how they can help in the moment. So if you have people who, really want to be involved, that's a great way to do it. Like I said, I believe it's free. The only downside is that people who want to follow it will have to, either have their own app or go on to sort of a separate website to use it. But yeah, it will probably resurface again in the not too distant future for maybe FDPA. I'm not sure. But Jamie knows, I think Jamie knows about it too, because I think they use it at the Lower Merion and Narberth League.
You really covered. I do think what you linked there, Meg, is that from National, like on the
National personal
yeah,
platform?
Yeah, I will say, I just tell people about it. Like today, I told our members about, because National uses it to link to like a text banking today event or telling national actions. I haven't really gone the next, I think it's overwhelming. There's a lot of this stuff going, and then we haven't even gotten to Slack and all these other things, right? So I just think it's just another thing. I agree with you, Sam. It's like, do I really want to tell people they have to do this? We just want people to get communications.
Yeah.
I've offered it and I let people know about it and I linked to it because I signed up, for our league so that I know what national puts on there for action items, but I don't know. It is a lot. It is
To
a
that-
lot.
And to that end, just like Jamie did, you can very easily make an account and then follow the national. National uses it a lot. So if you're sort of looking for content or looking for things to have your members advocate around, like Jamie said, it's a great source for content as well. Even if you're not using the platform itself, you can always put it on your social media or an email or however you've decided is best to communicate.
National does periodic trainings on Outreach Circle too. So if it's something you want to get involved in, they always put it in the National League newsletter if they're doing a training. I haven't seen one for a while though, Sam, have you?
I haven't. They really want to help people use it though. So it's there. So
If you
yeah.
wanted a connection with National to do a personal training one-on-one, we can definitely help you set that up. Kathy, go ahead.
I have a question. Because we're not doing many in-person events now, Instagram, it's hard to get visuals for it. Do you have a bank of Canva graphics that we could use for issues and statewide things that we could kind of appropriate and put on our Instagram accounts?
Sure. So you mean of Canva kind of graphics? Because
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been struggling kind of with the same thing, Kathy. We're not doing in-person events. I've been using a lot of stock photos. I've been using a lot of national Flickr page posts. But yeah, we definitely have a ton of Canva templates that we can share. Maybe I'll put a link to a couple in the presentation. But it would be easier to share those if you had a Canva account. It's just a little bit easier to edit them. So think about that.
And that's always something as well, that if you need something, you can send me an email. And chances are me or one of the fellows will have time to help you create something. If you're sort of, working at a loss for how it works. But and if you want to know how to use it, you can hop into my office hours and I can walk you through, how to use Canva as well. It's very user friendly.
Yeah, it's really easy. If you can do Word and insert a graphic, you can do Canva.
It's great.
Well, we're coming up on time. Any last thoughts, questions? Great. Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to be here tonight. We hope to see you next month for a conversation on websites. It'll be similar to this, walking through a couple of different platform options, walking through some best practices. So I encourage you to come, even if you already have a website and you're satisfied with it. I think websites are constantly a work in progress. Ours certainly is. So I look forward to seeing you then. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. I will share this as well as the PowerPoint template probably by the end of the week. So thanks everyone for being here.
What's the date of the next one?
March 8th, Tuesday, March 8th, 1 month from now at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.